Hello everyone, welcome to IIFL Markets YouTube channel. I am Shweta Papriwal and today in our Leaders Speak series, we have Mr. Jatin Vimal, partner and co-founder Levim Biotech LLP. Welcome Mr. Jatin, it's a pleasure to host you today.
Yeah, thank you so much Shweta, thank you for having me.
So Jatin, let us first start with knowing more about your company, its product portfolio, services, and what are the key products that are in the pipeline for the company going ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so a quick introduction to Levim Biotech. So we are a company based in Chennai, 7-year-old, and we are involved in the field of biologic therapeutics, which are mainly the injectable drugs. So by biologics, what we mean is macromolecules, which are many times bigger at the molecular level compared to the traditional pharma drugs. So essentially, you could think of products like proteins, the peptides, the enzymes, antibodies, and more commonly what we hear now like the gene therapy products. So Levim basically has two areas of work. One is on biosimilars, which is kind of similar to generic versions of branded drugs, as well as we also are involved in developing novel and innovative technologies for drug delivery. So within this biosimilar space, what I mentioned, so we are focused on microbially derived products. So these are products which are expressed through genetically modified organisms, and typically they would not include the monoclonal antibodies. Again, this is something I guess people have started hearing because of this pandemic situation.
Correct.
But excluding these monoclonal antibodies, a lot of other kind of biologic drugs, which are like insulins and a lot of these other things, like products that we make, streptokinase, can be made by the microbial platform. So basically, yeah, we have one commercially launched product in the market, which is recombinant streptokinase injection, and this is a life-saving drug used for treatment of acute myocardial infarction, which in common words is known as heart attack. So this was a product we developed before we spun out from a bigger company called Shatsun Pharmaceuticals Limited. And basically, when we set up Levim, we had to re-register for the relevant drug manufacturing licenses after we established our facility, which is meant for the drug manufacturing. So in a way, we can say Levim started off with a commercial product, and as a result, we had to set up our manufacturing facility on day one, and then kind of get into R&D labs and form the team for that. So today, Levim is one of the biggest manufacturers for streptokinase injection in India. But this is one of the earlier generation drugs, which is used for this acute condition of myocardial infarction. And so the market size is not that large. But I would say that we are one of the proud players in this segment, because one is that it is offering a treatment option which is still relevant in terms of the price affordability, as well as avoiding the complications from other alternate treatments, which for example, other thrombolytics or invasive procedures like stenting, which can cause risks like fatal bleeding events and stroke and so on and so forth. So, well, apart from this commercial product that we have, we've also been focusing on building a product pipeline, and we are very fortunate to have a very productive R&D team. So basically, our aim is to develop biosimilars which are used for treating chronic conditions in the area of diabetes, oncology, hematology, osteoporosis, etc. But this is in contrast to streptokinase, which I mentioned to earlier, which is more for the acute condition. So we have actually right now we have a healthy pipeline of 5 biosimilar products, which are in various phases of development, and we expect 2 of these to be launched in the next 2 years. So basically, to name them, one of them is pegaspargase injection, which is used as part of a chemotherapy regimen for the rare condition of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And other one is liraglutide biosimilar, which has been a highly impactful drug in a new treatment class for diabetes called as GLP-1 RA drug.
Okay.
And this second product, liraglutide, is what we expect to be a key growth driver for us. And we have recently got very positive data to show the biosimilarity of our molecule with the market standards in terms of a bioequivalence study. So we also expect that when we come to the market, our pricing will enable the product to have a far greater penetration than what it is today for the branded medicine. And actually, there are three big benefits of liraglutide, which have already been proven through international trials. One is, of course, the glycemic control, which is required for diabetes. There's also weight loss as well as long-term cardiovascular benefits. So, we believe that we would have a really significant role to play when we come to the market with this drug. So, apart from biosimilars, we are also putting our resources on novel technology development. And the problem that we are trying to address here is genetic mutation. These are very common, especially when you look at cancer treatment, where the tissues become resistant to chemotherapy.
Right.
So our solution basically involves a platform technology, which can basically overcome the barriers in delivering what we call as or what is known as short interfering RNAs, which are designed to silence the specific mutation. So, while gene therapy, as is becoming a buzzword today in the world, healthcare world, and there are various technologies like CAR T, cell therapy, and adenovirus delivered RNA, which we have already seen. Our approach also comes in this context, but it is a bit different, as we are utilizing the promising yet undelivered potential of siRNA. So our current status on this is that we are in the proof of concept testing phase, and we are doing our testing with cell lines outside the human body. Basically, these are different cancer cell lines, and we will be undertaking safety and efficacy studies in animals initially, and then progressing to the human trials. So once we see that the proof of concept is established, the confidence is there with the data that we generate of these studies, we see a great potential with technology to address various resistant cancers, and there are also other conditions which are caused with specific mutations, which can be addressed.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So the question is also about offering of a product and services. So I'd like to highlight that we are also in the service space. This is purely on a non-compete basis. And we have successfully executed projects actually in the past for things like development, scale up, and clinical batches of again microbially expressed proteins. So I would say that what differentiates us, why clients come to us, is because of a service model and very quick adaptability to the client's requirements. Apart from the infrastructure and systems that we have already built. This is not a primary business model, of course, but we do give equal importance to client projects, and we will also be looking to grow this into a separate business vertical in the future.
Correct.
So yeah, that's about our product and service.
So you've given a fairly very descriptive product portfolio and services which Levim is offering. So I would like to ask you, what is your strategy for selecting and bringing the products to market, and what are the capabilities that are required for the same?
So yeah, this is a relevant question. So our strategy actually for product selection is, I would say, is partly determined, by the infrastructure that we have invested in. So, like for example, the fermenters, the particular way we've designed our facilities, clean room, etc. So in our case, it has been designed for, like I mentioned, microbially expressed biologics.
Right.
So the monoclonal antibodies would not fall in this segment, but a lot of other products will come. But I would say a reason for choosing this area is that we've identified a good stream of products to work on, where we believe we would be clearly competitive and early to market. And these products are with somewhat lower complexities also, because here the challenge is to prove biosimilarity. You can't be claiming superiority or having marginal differences to the innovative product. So this, in a way, de-risks our strategy and time to market. So often, biologic drugs are used to treat chronic conditions, and many of them are also rare diseases, and we are working on some of these drugs. So this is the strategy that we have firmed up to basically live up to our vision, which is to create value by providing solutions for affordable
Right.
and unmet candidates. So when it comes to product selection for biosimilars, see what we look at is opportunities where we can be one among the earliest companies to launch in market. So that is one of the, I would say, the first criteria that we have. The next is to see if we can have a clear way to position ourselves with respect to either the pricing or the quality benchmark. There are a lot of other factors that we, put in when we are evaluating these products. For example, like prevalence of disease conditions, which markets accessible, the clinical development expense, which is actually dependent on the patient availability as well as the endpoint marker that we choose. There could be patent barriers,
Right.
which we should be conscious of, because that will push your market accessibility. Then there are market volume vis-a-vis the capacity that you have invested in, and the value per gram of the product, which again shows that how much can you derive value or facility. So this is a bit distinct from a collection of generic drugs in the synthetic pharma space, for example, where you can generally assume that the competition is going to be high as the barriers to entry are lower. And there the approach I would say is to fill up capacities, and drive up your process efficiencies, and basically hope to have a pure cost play.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
as far as capabilities go, yeah, as far as capabilities go, so we at Levim had to build capability at various levels. So the R&D engine, of course, is the most important one, and this is headed by another co-founder of Levim, and under his leadership, the team takes care of process development, right from microbial cloning to the expression of optimization to purification of the drug substance. But also we have demonstrated capabilities in the development of product formulation
Mm-hmm.
and overcoming pain barriers, whether it's in the process side or in formulation. So one of our internal focus area has been innovation, and the efforts by this team has led us to successfully file 2 patents, including in the novel technology area of gene therapy using this short interfering RNA, which we spoke about. So 3 of our projects have also won government grants under the various schemes under Department of Biotechnology. And for these, we have undergone a competitive evaluation process, and which are overseen by various technical committees appointed by DB. Another key strength I would say is experience of team in scaling up processes and achieving the target ease and quality. So this is not only for the complex bioprocess steps like fermentation and chromatography, but also things like the chemical conjugation reactions, which involve macromolecules. And being in the manufacturing space, and since we're dealing with injectable grade products here, we have built a sizable quality team and invested in training and having software solutions to basically have a comprehensive quality system.
Correct.
I
So
would
what?
say,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, please.
So what are your like? I mean, who are your key clients, and what is your geographic presence? And are you also focusing on exports?
Oh, yes, right. Okay, so I would say yes, partnering is definitely another key element of our strategy. So, right now, currently, one of our partnering strategies is to tie up with contract manufacturers for making the end product. So, what we make is a drug substance, and our contract manufacturer makes the end product under our license and our dossier rights. So, but we also been successful in partnering at the level of marketing for our commercial as well as our pipeline products. So these are what we have done so far is with mostly with top pharma companies in India,
Right.
and we manufacture the product under their label, like a principal to principal arrangement.
Okay.
This I would say, yeah, this I would say has been quite important to us, as our products are mostly in the hospital segment and for life-saving or chronic conditions, where familiarity and trust becomes the prime driver for prescription. So in turn, because of our partnerships, we undergo thorough quality checks and very regular audits by our partners, and as a result, we've become attuned to their quality systems and global practices. I'm actually very fortunate to have another co-founder of mine managing this key part of the strategy, which is mainly engaging customer relations and the business development front. So the primary market for our products is India, and we have positioned ourselves to develop and target our first regulatory approval through the Indian drugs control system.
Okay.
So the next phase for us is to go to export markets, where we enter for product registration based on the studies done in India.
Right.
And under this strategy, we have already have had an export presence in Asia. We already continue to have export presence in Asia, and this is for our current commercial product, streptokinase. The other export markets, I would say, are more relevant for our pipeline products, and we would be looking at regions in the Middle East, Russia, CIS countries, etc. And actually, at the stage that we are in right now, we have already started scouting for partners, as you know, for the products that are in late stage of development, like the diabetes and oncology.
Right.
So there's another interesting business model that has come up for us, which is in terms of out licensing our technology itself, you know, and the data rights for our pipeline products with specific market rights. So we are exploring this front also, as we know that the conditions may favor the local players, you know, and not all markets will be equally accessible for us. So that's another, you know, maybe an open question right now. Like, what about the developed countries like US, Europe, and etc., which are obviously the more value or value source markets. So this, I would say, is an open possibility, but we are very clear that this would be through marketing or through partnering arrangements. You know, because that's a requirement for new investments, because of separate clinical studies. You know, again, there's many reasons for that. So we are in discussions with potential partners on these opportunities, and the discussion is mainly based on the value that we bring to the table. So, for example, in the case of this anti-diabetic drug, which I spoke about, liraglutide biosimilar, I would say we have a lot to stand for. For example, we have proven bioequivalency to the brand drug, a product quality profile that matches or is in fact better than the brand drug. There's a patent infringement barriers that are overcome through, you know, tweaks in the formulation. And also development of this medical device, which is a pen device, because this is something the patient will administer himself at home. So it requires some certifications through the agencies, as well as the process efficiencies, which will make sure that, you know, we are able to offer this product at you know, at a high discount to the branded medicine. So that's about our markets and
sure.
marketing strategy. Yeah.
So how many facilities do you have currently, and where are these located? Do you have any capex plans for the near future?
Yes. So we have one commercial facility currently that is meant for this biologics drug manufacture, drug substance manufacture. And this is located in the government promoted incubator park called Taisal Biopark. This is within the city of Chennai.
Okay.
And in the same facility, we also have the R&D lab set up. Now, currently, I would say this is a pilot scale of manufacturing. We are occupying about 20,000 square feet area. And though it's a leased facility, I would say the main reason we have set up our initial operations here is the ease of access and being able to fit a functionally, you know, an aesthetically designed facility, which makes it possible to have CGMP manufacturing with a relatively modest business. And the idea of being an incubation facility was to, again, to build a pipeline of biosimilar drugs. And this takes time because it has to cross to various phases of development from preclinical to clinical trials. Our current capacity that we've invested in are adequate for our commercial products, and in fact for a few of our ongoing pipeline products also. But some of the other drugs which are now maturing late phase development, we foresee requirements to set up a much higher capacity. And for this reason, we are now venturing into a green site crop. We are in the initial phases of investment and also getting the statutory approvals for that. Again, like I said before, you know, the project site is something which we were really concerned about, and we have chosen a site which is in close proximity to the city.
Right.
As we recognize, this is a knowledge-driven industry, and availability of skilled manpower is one of the key requirements.
Correct.
So this facility is about within 60 kilometers south of Chennai, and the general social and economic infrastructure on the site is well developed to attract the best of talent. Our investment that we've estimated for this project is going to be close to 100 crores, and a substantial part of it we have planned to meet it through our own investment, but we are also looking for equity partners, and we started you know, our pitch for that. But also it's been very encouraging to see the keen interest in such projects from the Tamil Nadu government itself.
Okay.
And we'll be entering into an MOU with them for our project. This will help us, to be guided and be facilitated on the statutory clearance. Well, the pandemic has caused delays to our plans, but we also see good possibility to target this facility to be commissioned by the early part of 2023.
Okay.
In the flip side, in fact, there's also been a healthy outlook from investors on the pharmaceutical sector as such.
Right.
And in particular, I would say biopharmaceuticals, and we have seen substantial interest in that area, and also we would have a good amount of area available for future expansion at this new site. So we would look at other possibilities like gene therapy or even the mRNA vaccines, because these are proven to be very easy to manufacture, and the development time also is quite short compared to a traditional vaccine.
Right.
So these would be essentially our future growth plans.
So thank you so much, Mr. Jatin, for taking the time out and speaking to us and also elaborating on the company, its products, its plans. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure. Thank you for having me.